Now we have a board resolution that we would like to honor and show appreciation to our employees. And what we will do with this is after Ms. Dunn, our secretary, reads the resolution, I will accept a motion to waive the 10-day rule. And when we pass that, then we will pass the motion. So with that, if you would please listen to the motion that the board is presenting to you employees.
Whereas the employees of the Georgia Department of Transportation are sincerely appreciated for their tireless service provided during unparalleled winter weather events the weeks of January 27, 2014.
Ms. Dunn, can you hold 1 second? Our governor just walked in. Governor, we're doing a resolution from the board honoring our employees, and I want you to hear the whole resolution. So if you'd come up here, you can hear the whole resolution. And sorry it's done. That's fine. But nobody should be here to hear the resolution more than you. Good morning. Ms. Dunn, would you continue with the resolution?
Yes, I'll start over, please. Whereas the employees of the Georgia Department of Transportation are sincerely appreciated for their tireless service provided during unparalleled winter weather events the weeks of January 27, 2014 and February 10, 2014. And whereas these employees represented the department with unwavering commitment to the welfare of the state and its citizens and exhibited complete dedication to their work, selflessly performing valuable and vital services for all, working day after day on interstates and state routes to clear lanes for motorists and spending long hours away from their families. And whereas these extremely hard-working men and women were on duty throughout the state, ready to render assistance with willingness and courage to their fellow Georgians in a time of great need. Although the importance of service provided by these employees is often forgotten or overlooked, they are always on the front lines and first to act. And whereas the employees and department were an invaluable part of Georgia's crisis response efforts, providing passage for emergency responders, National Guard, and power company personnel through impacted areas. And whereas the State Transportation Board is honored to extend our appreciation and our gratitude to all department employees for their continued spirit of perseverance. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the State Transportation Board and the Georgia Department of Transportation are grateful for the vital contributions employees made during this emergency circumstance. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting and a suitable copy to be presented to the Office of Maintenance, Transportation Management Center, in each of the 7 GDOT district offices, in addition to the highway emergency response operators, in recognition of their outstanding effort. Adopted this 20th day of February 2014. I make this in the form of a motion.
We have a form of a motion. First of all, we need to waive the 15-day rule. 10-day rule. Is anybody?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We got a motion to waive 10-day rule. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now we got a motion on the floor. Do I
Second,
hear a
Mr. Chairman.
second? All right, we're voting on the motion. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Governor, if you will, let's take this over there and give it to our wonderful employees. Keith, if you would, district votes and all that we talked about, Meg, bring the people up. Let's get right here behind us.
Isn't that awful?
Keith and Russell, y'all come up here.
It's awful. What just says awful? During the first storm. And
Y'all
she's
kind of
working.
spread out
No.
behind us. We'll Meg, come over here.
During the first event.
That's all
I told Meg yesterday, you don't do this to ladies, but I said, Meg, I can still see the bag under your eyes. And she didn't see it. But on behalf of the board again, we honor you employees. And I think it is a special honor to have our governor here to be with us. Because what he has done for us in transportation has been unparalleled. So with this, I'm going to give to you as Director of Operations. Y'all sit where you want. Thank you. I'm going to let him minister and have him pass it everybody.
march him around the room.
I know.
March you around the room.
Test 1, 2. We're doing it a little different. Rather than going to the podium, I wanted the governor to come up here and address you folks. He didn't want to send anything over. He wanted to personally come thank our employees and the department. So with that, a great partner for us, a guy that we work with so good and will continue to work with, and his planning director he has here, Toby Carr, we work good, and with his folks in his office. With that, I give you Nathan Deal.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all. Please be seated. I wanted to come by and just simply say thank you. Sometimes that is not done often enough, but in the crises that we have seen over the last month or so with inclement weather, I think it's altogether appropriate that I say to you and to those that you represent who are in the field across our state, thank you for a job well done. You have responded under difficult circumstances. You've worked long hours. You've worked under difficult conditions. And I want to tell you that the response I'm receiving from the last storm that we had was exceptional, that everybody worked cooperatively together. And it is important that we learn to do that, and I think we have learned to do that very, very well. I think we have, in fact, set a model for the rest of the country. And there are parts of the country, I think, that are now wishing that they had done what we did in our last storm. We created and convened a new task force made up of a lot of folks from the outside world, meteorologists, representatives from school superintendents' offices, and a variety of other people, the business community, etc. We had our first meeting this week. And one of the first speakers was from the National Weather Service. And I believe the gist of what we heard from all of those people was that this is an unusual time from a weather standpoint. And he had a chart that showed that we had been through a number of very warm winters and had gotten accustomed to that. And all of us can remember that. And that now we appear to be in a cycle of very cold winters, and that perhaps we should get accustomed and prepared for that as well. One of the other things, though, that came out of it that I thought was extremely interesting was that this past week they had the National Meteorological Association meeting here in Atlanta. And he presented a slide of something that Purdue University is working on, and it is a way to better predict what's going to happen in a bad weather situation. And what I got out of it, and maybe mine was a simplistic take on it, was that you can look at all of the predictions about fronts that are moving and the time frames in which they may come together and bear on a particular part, but that there is one ingredient that is not generally calculated in determining the impact of a storm. I suppose it is the difference between a purely scientific analysis of a situation versus a practical common sense analysis of it, and that other element is the human factor. And I think if you look back on the two storms we've had, the one in January and the one this month, the difference was the human factor. And that human factor being, if people are not on the roads, if schools are not in session and children in school buses are not on the road, then it makes your job as the DOT much easier. It makes the job of all of the other agencies that are working cooperatively together much easier. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that. It was something that I am at least glad to see that the scientific community is understanding that in practical terms, it is also the human element that makes a very big difference as to what your outcomes are going to be. So we perhaps have become a bit of a model for them to look at, and that's probably a good thing. But back to that Wednesday of that last storm that we had, I met with Rachel Brown, who I believe was your district engineer here, and we were out at one of the supply areas where trucks were loading the mixture of sand and gravel, and she was right there working hard. I came to understand that she had a son who was graduating from warrant officer school that day, and she had to miss his graduation just to stay on the job and do what was expected of her in a time of crisis. So her story, I'm sure, has been repeated all across this state as we have dedicated DOT workers who stayed on the job, worked long hours, in some cases did not get to do the things with their families that they might otherwise have been expecting to be able to do. So to all of you, I simply say, on behalf of the citizens of the state of Georgia, thank you for a job well done.
Well, again, it was a great pleasure to have a very good partner in transportation, our governor here, to address our employees. And thank him again for being here.